I've talked with a couple different attorneys who've been following this case throughout, honestly, the past 2 years, really. And, you know, it's one of those things where this is a landmark case. This is going to set precedent. And, you know, one of the things that may have caused this conviction that made the jury lean one way, well, one of the attorneys says it's the fact that they had that meeting right before the shooting took place.
We find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Jennifer Crumbley facing up to 15 years in prison for the involuntary manslaughter of Tate Meir, Hannah St. Juliana, Madison Baldwin, and Justin Schilling.
It was the meeting. I don't think they would have been charged but for the meeting right before that shooting happened, right? Because at that point, you're in the best position as the parent in the room. You know that he has access to a gun because you gifted it to him.
Attorney Lillian Diallo says this case, the first of its kind where a parent is charged after their child carries out a mass shooting, will set precedents for future cases. And although Jennifer was found guilty, her husband James, who is awaiting trial, may still be found innocent.
I have more sympathy for him. I just felt he was in a space where he couldn't even get himself up out of the bed. He was doing the best he can. He's door dashing. He might have had depression or not. And I don't know if he got that picture right before that meeting, right? The picture mom got on the email, because they said they sent it to mom. I don't know. I'm in a different place with James Crumbley.
Mr. Crumbley sits in a more advantageous position to know what his direction may be. You understand? Because his waters wouldn't be as uncharted as Mrs. Crumbley, as his wife's.
Attorney Todd Perkins is expecting that Jennifer's case will be appealed, possibly even having federal court get involved when it comes to James Crumbley's trial. He thinks today's verdict could have a major impact.
It's the transcripts from this case are going to have to be produced. Can they be produced in enough time for Mr. Crumbley's case to go forward? Because you have to have testimony. If it's sworn testimony, that lawyer who's going to be representing Mr. Crumbley is going to have it. And the prosecution will have to have that. So will there be enough time to produce that? Will it be produced in enough time before the scheduled trial date that they can actually go through it and review it?
Now, another question that I asked involved James Crumbley's trial, right? So you see his wife, Jennifer, has been found guilty. So as an attorney, do you still go through with this trial, or do you try and get a plea deal? Now, the attorneys that I talked with, they said it's really going to depend on how much evidence they have against or for James Crumbley's case. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to wait and see. And it'll also come down to Mr. Crumbley himself on what he wants to do.